Yo, what is going on, all of my people? I know it's been a while, but we're gonna jump right into it. So we're gonna talk about one of the biggest stereotypes why a lot of people think that Mexicans from Mexico travel to the United States or immigrate into the United States, coming across that border for et cetera reasons. So the first and foremost thing I want to talk about is that I had a lot of conversations with these Mexicanos in Tijuana, and a lot of them that are from different parts of Mexico that end up in Tijuana on their journey to the United States. Now, let's be honest, as Americans and a lot of other people, when we hear the word immigrant, we automatically think a Mexican that's crossing into the United States. But here's the biggest thing, they cross the border in order to make those American dollars. Let's be honest. You know, our currency is one of the strongest currencies in the world. So when you see the houses that they build on the backs of the American dollars that they make in the United States, I've seen homes that are 3 stories. They're living like kings out here in Mexico. So even though a lot of people give them criticism and say that, wow, they only cross the border and to make money because they're poor and they come from a third world country, but the reality is they know how to really utilize the the system that the U.S. government has created. And a lot of these states, aka California, is very gracious to these immigrants, especially the ones that come across from Mexico. They have sanctions for them also if they cross the border. I'm in a certain situation. But when it comes to the stereotype, people think that Mexicans that come across the border are poor and they just shack up in these little houses, 20 to 30 people, a crazy amount of number of them living in one room while they work for the same company, but they send all their money back home while their houses are being built, while they're building communities and structure. And I just think that a lot of people need to realize that that's why a lot of people come to the United States, not just Mexicans from Mexico, but any type of immigrants that come from their homeland country to the United States, is because they know that our currency dominates. And what do they do with it? They send it right back home to build up their houses and whatnot. So, long story short, we got to stop stereotyping Mexicans from Mexico that they're very poor and they only come out to the United States to work and have a better life, but that better life is back in their homeland. But even though they tend to stay in the United States to make that U.S. dollar, but other things can contribute to that too. But this is just one of the biggest stereotypes that people have about Mexicans from Mexico. They come across the border because they're poor and in their homeland they don't make as much money. Well, they know that the U.S. currency, it quadruples. Right now it's like 20 pesos per dollar. So our currency multiplies the peso by 20. So why wouldn't they do that? But again, we got to stop stereotyping them to be poor, because when we go visit their homeland and you see that 3 story house, guess who sent money to have that house built? That same Mexican that you thought was poor in the United States. So that's just one of the stereotypical things that people say about Mexicanos. But we're going to continue to have these discussions about the stereotypes of los Mexicanos, or la gente de Mexico, But also, feel free to comment, please. And if you guys have stories specifically referring to Mexicanos that immigrated into the United States and building houses back at home in Mexico, please leave comments because I want to drop a live. I want to do a live with your guys' stories also, so you guys can kind of talk about that. But leave me a comment if y'all got stories like this and y'all families crossed over that border to make those American dollars to, you know, provide back at home and give your family a better life. But yeah, Negrito Grande, arre pues. One love, you already know.